Playing as the video game hero, you need someone to defeat. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 of the most evil video game villains of all time. Now, just as a quick little note ahead of time, this is going to contain spoilers. We're talking about bad guys and the bad stuff they do. So if you hear one you haven't played and intend to for the story, you know what's going on here. Without any further ado, starting off with number 10, it's Vas Montenegro from Far Cry 3. Vas was the memorably psychotic leader of the Rock Island Pirates, and one of the earliest and best examples of how performance capture can really make a character stand out in a video game. Michael Mando just gave this guy a manic energy that was rarely seen in gaming, and while the Far Cry series has tried again and again to create a bad guy as good as Vas, none of them have been as good, or as bad rather. The funny thing about Vas is he doesn't really show up that often, but when he does, you know stuff's really about to go down. He has this live wire energy to him that's pretty unnerving. Like, you have no idea what he's about to do, but same time, he doesn't really go over the top psycho either.
It's okay. I'm gonna chill, I'm gonna relax, because you, Wah, and your tough guy brother, we're gonna have a lot of fun together while we wait for the money.
I mean, that doesn't mean you wouldn't call some of the stuff that he does to you psycho, but he sells it. Like, the stuff that he does is nasty. He leaves you to die in a burning building, he attacks and kills your allies, tries to drown you in a sinkhole. Like, he's a messed up dude. The funny thing is that he's not even really the main bad guy of the game. This guy named Hoyt is. And while he's maybe more evil than Vas, like on a piece of paper, because he's the one running the whole human slavery operation and all that, he's just barely in the game and just is not nearly as memorable as Vas. The only reason this guy isn't higher on the list is because he wasn't really able to reach his full potential. He died too early in the story to get a chance to reach his final form, so to speak. But for as little as he actually does, he's still one of the best and most evil villains in gaming. At number 9 is David from The Last of Us, another guy that doesn't have a lot of screen time but leaves a really big impression. David is a seemingly mild-mannered survivor you meet when you're playing as Ellie during the winter section of the game. For a series as dark as this one, there aren't really that many truly despicable characters, at least ones that are actual characters. Most of the bad guys in these games are people that are just kind of desperate to survive, you know, in a brutal post-apocalyptic world that this game takes place in. But David goes beyond that. The new leader of a starving community, David promised to solve the problem of hunger by having everyone become cannibals. His people attack strangers, kill them, and eat them. Fun. But he's got different plans for Ellie. In a disgusting scene, he tries to get friendly with her. When she manages to escape, he hunts her down in a burning restaurant, thanking her for killing all his men and saying their deaths only make his community stronger. He is an all-around disgusting guy with a creepy monotone voice.
You kill to survive, and so do we. We have to take care of our own, by any means necessary.
He's a character that's both sinister and pathetic at the same time. You can't talk about this guy, though, without mentioning his voice actor. It's Nolan North, the voice of Nathan Drake, who is playing way against type. The whole winter section's actually a big standout in The Last of Us, and David is a big reason why. At number 8 is Mitsuru Kuroiwa from Judgement. The Yakuza series, which the Judgement games are a spin-off of, have their fair share of bad guys, but none of them are worse than Mitsuru Kuroiwa, aka the Mole. I told you there was spoilers. The main plot of Judgement revolves around solving a series of bizarre murders where the serial killer's MO is that he would gouge out their victims' eyes. The lead investigator is a by-the-books cop who tries to impede the main character's investigations the entire time. It seems like this guy is beyond reproach as a respected member of the Tokyo police, but he is the serial killer, and he uses his position at the police force as a way to gain access to the victims to more easily cover up his crimes. Yeah, I, for a long time, really did not suspect this guy either. I just thought he was a really big dick and had a big chip on his shoulder about Yagami. Seems like pretty much everybody does anyway, so this being a Yakuza spinoff, the plot is a lot more complicated than a simple serial killer. But he is at the center of everything. His ulterior motive for the killings is he's actually covering up an illegal human testing scheme. There's this Alzheimer's drug that has a side effect of killing people, and basically he's killing victims of it. But that just means that he's getting paid for the murders. Doesn't mean he's not doing them. The real kicker is when you discover his identity as the true killer. You'd think a guy like this would freak out, but he just doesn't care. He knows you can't prove anything, and he just continues to use his connections as a cop to cause problems for you. He doesn't even stop the killings. Like, the guy doesn't even care at all. Like, it's rare to get a truly psychopathic villain in these games. Usually they have some kind of like code or understandable intention, but this guy's just psychotic. Evil. At number 7 is Moloch the Glucken from Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. Literally described as the meanest boss in the world, Moloch is the ultimate environmentalist bad guy out there. Normally that'd put him on the Captain Planet scale of bad guys, but this dude has a murderous edge to him that makes him especially unpleasant. Outside of the whole incredibly ugly thing. He's got that going for him as well. Set in the bizarre world of Oddworld. The guy's the CEO of Rupture Farms, a cyclopean meat packing plant, where Abe, the humble Mudican janitor, works. Moloch's literally a slave driver. All of the Mudican employees are just slaves, but that's not really good enough for him. When profit starts to fall, the executives look for new ways to cut costs, and that's when this guy introduces something new and tasty: Mudican Pops. Literally, they're heads on sticks. I don't know who's exactly going to eat that, but it doesn't matter. It's just ridiculously evil, and it sets off the events of the game where Abe escapes and eventually comes back to rescue everybody. It's not subtle, but usually the businessmen type bad guys are a little more pragmatically evil. This guy's just over the top nasty. At number 6, Makarov from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and 3. When the first thing you see a bad guy do is shoot up an international airport, it's hard to imagine that guy would do anything worse. But again, it was the first thing you saw, and he was just getting started. There are so many over-the-top bad guys in the Modern Warfare series that just do ridiculously evil stuff, but most of them are dead by the end of their respective games. And this guy had 2, well, actually 3 kind of, games to cause mischief in. Makarov is formally introduced in the No Russian mission, which requires no introduction at this point. It's infamous and so nasty that it's easy to forget that it's not even the only evil thing he does in the mission. He also kills the undercover operative, which is what sets off the big Russian invasion plot in the first place. He doesn't really do a lot else in Modern Warfare 2. General Shepard's the main villain of that game, but Makarov comes back with a vengeance in the third game, killing the Russian Secret Service agent you play as in the Turbulence mission, ambushes your team, gets multiple named characters killed. He kills Yuri at the end of the game, and they even make him responsible for detonating the nuke from the Shock and Awe mission from Modern Warfare 1, so his personal body count is literally in the thousands. Honestly, it's a little over the top, but villainy is villainy, and this guy does a lot of it. You might be rolling your eyes through a little of it, but there's some satisfaction to killing him in this game. And number 5 is Albedo from Xenosaga Episode 1, my pick for a while, a very early aughts era extreme villain who enjoyed both sadism and masochism, getting literal sexual pleasure when you're damaging him in a battle, and made it a point to both torture, murder, and possibly sexually assault young children who were robot replicas of a human girl he despised. Long story. If you're an anime fan at all, you've seen his archetype before, the nihilistic pretty boy. In the 90s and 2000s, these guys were a dime a dozen, but what Albedo has over the rest is just how completely nuts he is. The guy is a barely functional ball of hate and resentment. Everything that comes out of this guy's mouth is either creepy or insulting, and it seems like he's just got an endless hatred for basically everything. Now, you can't talk about this guy without talking about the scene from the first Xenosaga game, the part where he captures and psychologically tortures the robot girl while sitting on a throne of beheaded statues. This whole segment is bizarre, and while it's pretty extreme, it was actually censored in the US. The Japanese version was even more violent, showing a bizarre scene where he saws off his own arm with a knife. Oh yeah, he's immortal, by the way, so he can really go nuts with the crazy freakouts. Doesn't stop at his own arm, he actually rips off his own head, cackling like a lunatic and ranting about how worthless humanity is. In terms of body count, he's got nothing on Makarov. Like, he kills a lot of soldiers and tries to destroy an entire planet by the end of the game, but he ultimately fails. Still, his pure unchecked hatred of everyone and everything is pretty staggering, and his absolutely legendary bad guy theme makes him one of the best JRPG villains of all time. And number 4 is King Bohan from Heavenly Sword. Before Hellblade, before DMC, before even enslaved Odyssey to the West, Ninja Theory made a little game called Heavenly Sword that came out during the PS3's launch. It's little more than a cinematic tech demo with some fairly pedestrian gameplay, but one thing it does have that makes it very memorable to this day is the always awesome Andy Serkis playing the amazingly evil King Bohan. Imagine the ugliest, nastiest, most hateable villain ever, and throw in 1,000 more things, you got Bohan. He's just got zero redeeming qualities. He is a megalomaniacal lunatic that thinks he's the chosen one sent to this earth to shape the world in his image. All he does is go off about his divine will and hurl abuse at his oversized but mentally undeveloped son Roach while getting up to some new atrocity. It's really something to see Andy Serkis not just chew the scenery, but the walls, floors, ceilings, everything as this freak. He's so incredibly evil, sometimes you almost have to laugh. It's like every scene this guy shows up in, he finds some new low to think to. In any other game, King Bohan would be one of a bazillion forgettable bad guy king types out there, but Ninja Theory went all out to make this dude as evil as possible. He is the most memorable and easily the best thing about the game, bar none. And number 3 is the Loathsome Dung Eater from Elden Ring. Not a lot else to say, right? He's called the Loathsome Dung Eater. You hear that name during the opening of Elden Ring, and you think, how lonesome could this guy be? Well, turns out, pretty loathsome. You first meet him in the round table hold where he's sitting in a corpse-filled room and he immediately starts threatening that he'll kill and defile your corpse. Like, dude, I'm just trying to be friendly. What the hell? I mean, just listen to some of the madness this guy shouts at you. He calls himself a scourge upon the living that must eat and defile everything that matters to you, which I guess being a dung eater, he must assume that dung matters to me. So he may also be wrong on top of evil. But he is a completely evil monster that doesn't just want to kill people, he wants to kill them, then defile them, so that when they're eventually reborn into the world, they're cursed, along with their children and their children's children, and so on. It seems insane to want to help this guy that hates you and wants to kill you and mess up your corpse, but you can, which leads to the Blessings of Despair ending, where you curse the sacred tree and make it so everyone forever is cursed. Also, you eat a whole bunch of dung in the process. No, I'm sure he does, though. You don't. I mean, this is one of the few ridiculously evil video game characters that you can actually help if you want to, if you're crazy enough to do so. And number 2 is the Joker from Batman Arkham Asylum, City, Origins, and Night. One of the all-time most evil villains in fiction is also one of the most evil villains in video games, too, all thanks to the incredible Batman Arkham series. The Joker plays a key role in all these games, from the first all the way to the last. Like, this is a guy who's so evil, he's almost more powerful after he's dead. In the first game, Arkham Asylum, he's of course responsible for all the events of that game, along with the whole Titan formula scheme. It's easy to forget, but a lot of people die in the first game. Almost all the Arkham staff that you find end up dead eventually, and only a few manage to live till the end. The Joker's evil is a little more personal in Arkham City. His blood is poisoned for taking the Titan formula in the first game, and he wants Batman to make him a cure. Of course, this is the Joker we're talking about, so he didn't exactly ask nicely. He infected hundreds of people with his poisoned blood, including Batman. At the end of the game, he takes Talia, Batman's love interest, hostage and kills her in a particularly pointless and cruel way, which eventually leads to his own death. The Joker's evil gets even more bizarre in Arkham Knight, where he appears as a fear gas-induced hallucination, while also literally threatening to take over Batman's body because of the magic blood he injected into him or something. Listen, it's a little bit confusing, but if you really want a vision of how evil the Joker is, then the vision of a Jokerized Batman at the end of the game shows him at his absolute worst, killing all the other villains while the entire city is engulfed in flames. And finally, at number 1 is Kefka from Final Fantasy VI. As bad as the Joker is, this is the true gaming clown prince of evil. Final Fantasy VI is a game that's almost 30 years old, but Kefka's evil is timeless. He starts the game off as kind of a goofy side villain working for the evil empire, but as the story unfolds, it becomes more and more clear that Kefka is a much more dangerous enemy than how he first appears. It doesn't take long for the atrocities to pile up. He poisons an entire castle filled with innocent people, he murders the only decent character in the Empire, General Sid, and in one of the most shocking moments of all time, he betrays the Emperor and destroys the world. He doesn't even really do it for a good reason. He just saw an opportunity and took it, and the entire world paid the price. It's rare to see a villain win so completely in a video game, but Kefka did it. The entire world is changed from this point on, and the rest of the game is mostly about trying to put the team back together. By the end of the game, Kefka has become a godlike entity with a death ray that he uses to wipe out towns randomly just to show he can, you know? There's tons of bad guys who threaten to do bad things, but not really a lot as successful as Kefka. It's kind of cliche at this point, but he really can't be topped. Couple of bonus ones for you too. Volgin from Metal Gear Solid 3. This guy's gotten plenty of play on some of our other bad guy lists, so we don't want to really avoid repeating ourselves too much. We're just dropping him in the bonus for that reason, but he is a non-stop roller coaster of evil evil. Every time he shows up, something bad happens. Someone is going to get killed. Someone's going to get tortured. Maybe a nuke is about to go off. Who really knows? That's the kind of guy Volgin is. And then Luca Blight from Suikoden 2. Another guy we've mentioned before, but gotta bring him up again. He's a warmongering lunatic who starts the game by attacking his own people as a justification to invade an ally, and only gets worse. He's literally called the Mad Prince, and he absolutely lives up to the title, gleefully killing anyone who stands in his way. He's so evil that his own allies turn on him. Nobody can deal with how over the top this dude is. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.